All right, guys, I'm going to introduce you to our new note guide sheets. And what we're doing is we are doing something, I've already introduced it to you, known as flipping the classroom. So I'm going to give you as much information as I can in a way that you don't need me to stand in front of you. I'm going to be along beside you. I'm going to help you where you're at with your learning instead of trying to just kind of spew information at you. So, Chapter 7 note guide sheets. Watching the lessons and filling out the note sheets are the first step towards learning. It's not the only step, but this is what you're going to use, at least to start off with, to help you understand some new material. What we're studying is exponent rules, and in your book it's 7.1 to 7.7, but we're going to skip over 7.5 until about April. Now, if you get stuck, if you're falling behind, if you're having trouble in any way, help is available. So I don't want you to feel like, well, now that we're doing this new weird thing, I have to watch these videos and that's the only thing. No, you need to watch the videos because that's the first step, but I want you to still be able to ask questions, and you'll have time in class to do that. You can always come in. I'm going to be here every Tuesday, expecting students to be in here to just work on homework if you need to. Maybe you don't have a quiet place at home. I'm going to expect that. If that doesn't work for you, you can see me for another time. Now, if I find out that you're getting behind and you're not turning lessons in by Friday that you're supposed to do for the week, then I'm going to assign you an after-school study hall. Okay? So 2 or more missing assignments not turned in for the week, you're going to be assigned to stay after school. And if you don't come, then that's going to mean a phone call home, trip to Mr. Hauser's office, Monday school, all that fun stuff. So you really need to be keeping up with your work and getting it turned in. Let's say that you're just having trouble with a particular lesson. Why don't you use My Big Campus? That's why we have iPads, or one of the reasons. And ask me, send me a message, put it on my wall, or ask a classmate. You're probably not the only one. You're allowed to start discussions. Put a discussion, how are you doing these kinds of problems? I'm having trouble with them, and see what your classmates respond. I will tell you what, for at least this chapter, if you use this tool, My Big Campus, to communicate with me, or you can show me that you're communicating with another classmate, I will give you a bonus point. So if you send me a message to get help, bonus point. If you voluntarily stay after school, bonus point, so on and so forth. There are also lots and lots and lots of internet tools. Let's pretend that it's there for a useful purpose, not just games. One of them is yaymath.org. It's a math teacher, I believe. He's out in California. He makes these videos. I would say they're a little cheesy, but they're also kind of fun, and they're very effective. A lot of students have had success with them. Another tool that probably a lot of you have seen used maybe in an enrichment class or last year is Khan Academy, and there's tons and tons of informational videos that you can watch there. What you're going to notice on the main sheet of your note guide is that we're going to put all the lesson objectives right here so you can see. So the first objective that you need to do is simplify zero and negative exponent expressions. That's what we're going to work on today. In your book, it is section 7.1. You will be expected to turn in page 895, 9 through 40 all. That assignment needs to be written on the paper, or I may not know what it is. It will be counted missing, and you will get an after-school study table. Now let's look down at the bottom of the page. I want you to notice this quote here by Vince Lombardi. Maybe some of you know who that is. If not, look it up. The price of success is hard work. It's not going to come easy. Dedication, you can't give up, to the job at hand, and determination that whether you win or lose, it's easy or you feel successful, you're going to apply the very best of yourself to the task at hand. So your task is to learn algebra. Specifically right now we're learning exponents. I would like you to take this to heart a little bit and apply your very best. If your best is a C on a test, that's great. That's what I expect of you. If your best is an A, that's what I expect. Don't miss anything. I think everybody can get at least a C. Okay, now, main vocabulary words that you've got to know for this section. The first one is a coefficient. A coefficient is the number, we'll say integer, because we are mathematicians using math words. So a coefficient is the integer in front of the variable, and that is a simplified definition, but it will work. So if we look at this example underneath 3x to the 4th power, the coefficient is 3. It is the number in front of the variable. Now remember, we learned before Christmas that if there's not a number there, then the coefficient is 1. So there's always some kind of coefficient. A base. A base is often a variable, but it can also be a number. It's going to be the term, so we'll make it vague enough that it could be a variable or a number. The term attached to a power. So if you look at this first example that we were looking at here, a base is the term, so in this case the x, because the x is what's attached to the power of 4. So this is going to be the base. Okay? Then the last vocabulary word that I think all of you are probably pretty familiar with is exponent. An exponent is a power. So if you look at this example, the exponent or the power is 4. So 3 is the coefficient, x is the base, and 4 is the exponent. I want you to go ahead and try the next 4. So pause the video. I'm going to fill them out for you, and then I want you to check your answers after you filled them out by yourself. All right, kind of look over your answers and see if you got the same thing that I did. Now you'll notice here in this fourth one, 3xy, that I didn't label an exponent. You wouldn't have to. I will tell you that there are exponents on each, the x and the y, and they are the exponent of 1. So there are exponents. We wouldn't label them in this case, but they do exist, and we're going to learn that in just a second. Okay, so down underneath your box, if there's not an exponent written, kind of like if there's not a number in front of the variable, it has an exponent of 1. Very, very, very important. A lot of people will try to think that it's 0. Bases must be the same in order to use the exponent rules. So if I look at my base in number 2 here and my base in number 4, well, I have an xy base in number 2 and I have an xy base in number 4. So those would be considered the same. And in fact, they would be the same here to number 5. But my bases are not the same in number 1 or number 3. So those you couldn't combine and use your exponent rules. Just to get you started into the next lesson. Okay, now, lesson number 1 on the next page. It is called the zero product property. Anything to the 0 power is 1. It doesn't matter what it is. Anything to the 0 power is 1. Well, what about the number 12,567 to the 0? Yes, even 12,567 to the 0 is 1. It doesn't matter what it is, it's 1. So 2 to the 0 is 1. Variable to the 0, x to the 0 is 1. Bigger number like 36 to the 0 is 1. 0 to the 0 is 1. And if I have a quantity to y to the 0 power, that whole quantity is 1. Now, if the 0 is only tagging part of the expression, so here you'll see the 0 is only tagging the x, only this part, x to the 0, becomes 1. So this is essentially 2 times 1, which is 2. Let's look at one of these here. So x to the 0, well, that part is 1. But since the 0 is not touching the 3, you still have 3 times 1. And so the answer is 3. I want you to go ahead and try the next 4. I will do them, and you can check yours with mine. All right, go ahead and check your answers, and then I actually am going to have to make another video to get the next part of this lesson on since I did the introduction here. So check your answers, and then you'll have to watch video number 2 in order to finish filling out your note sheet.